barracks and the starport rather than actually making use of Widow Mines. And he's definitely not going for that Hellion style that we saw previously from him. But in the meantime, we're going to see Speed Roach build here from Vibe, and this could work out pretty well. Hellions are on the map now that he's built, like, like 6 of them. He's cool with not really building any more. But this wall-off is going to work pretty well. The third might maybe end up getting cancelled here, but I think once the Roaches come out, that's actually not going to be a problem at all. I don't think the Hellions do enough DPS. No, they don't. They don't do enough damage to actually make this work.
It would take a lot of Hellions to DPS down a hatchery that's still building. One thing the Hellions did do, though, is spot the Roaches. He spotted the jiggling buildings there at the entrance, so he knows what upgrades are on the way. For the most part, he has a general idea of what the upgrades are going to be anyways. But more Roaches are on the way. 7 being produced. The Glial Reconstitution is on the way. And as I was saying, TB, he doesn't have a whole lot of anti-Roach. Now, thankfully, he does have this wall in now. More bunkers got to be established right here. But, again, Hellion's not what you want right now, and he started a Marauder just now, but he definitely needs to mass repair this because this is a lot of Roaches headed his way.
I don't even think you can mass repair that. Like, I think there's so much DPS that I feel that you basically end up out DPSing the repairs, and that's assuming that you get the SCVs there quick enough to begin with. I don't think Vibe realizes just how little Maker actually has at this stage. It seems like there's going to be an attempted Hellion run by just to pull this back, and it actually works. You know, this is all Maker could really do to stop that bust at the front, is just pull them back, use the Hellions, threaten with the Hellions, and say, oi, I'm going to hit you, but... Well,
I think Vibe may have lost his chance. He is going to go for it. For some reason, lowers the front door. I don't know what the point of that is. And that means the Roaches now get a complete surround on this, although keep in mind that SCVs can easily outpair Roaches, but there's a lot of Roaches right now. The Marauder gets taken out, and all of a sudden, Vibe just gets an easy waltz right in the main base. One Widow Mine is here, but guess what? He's already got an Overseer.
This is horrible, man.
I think that was just a big mistake. I don't know how else to say that.
Man, Maker can hold this, but only if he's going to have to sacrifice his natural to do it, yeah? Which maybe you can do on 3 CCs without worrying too much, but he's got a Widow Mine in position, which is good, and it doesn't actually get the hit. Wow, Vibe responded so fast to that. The Widow Mine didn't even trigger. It takes 1.5 seconds to trigger. That didn't even happen. So he's going to lose a lot. Like, he's kind of sacrificed his natural, and his opponent is way ahead of him in almost every possible respect. If we see enough units come out, which Maker is sitting on, on 6 barracks. What was that? Yeah, 6 barracks. And he's also building Widow Mines. He can push this back, but to what end? Like, because Vibe is now building Infestors and is transitioning through to a Roach Infestor style and is unharassed right now.
Yeah, nothing worse than an unharassed Zerg. And also, I like what Vibe is doing here in that he's got down Spine Crawlers and Spores as his third base. So he is not getting cocky at all. He is playing it very, very safe right now. His creep spread's actually ridiculous. He just planted down 10 more creep tumors. He's already in the center of the map right now. The scan right there to clean out the Roach. But, you know, we mentioned all that production capabilities of Maker. He doesn't have the income to be able to produce off of it just yet. So, you know, maybe he can make up enough workers to recover here, but it's going to be so tough for him right now because this is the point in the game when you want to be doing like 3 drops at a time, and that is nowhere in the near future.
You want to see how cool that was? Vibe used a Changeling to trigger a Widow Mine, then sent a second Roach to trigger the other one. So he now knows that there's no Widow Mines available here. He should be able to push over. I think he might be able to win right now. He's building nothing but units. He's building a Hydroden going up to that, and he is borrowing Infestors. His Maker's not going to realize this. This is going to go through all the way to the main base. I thought he'd spotted it there for a second. I'm like, hang on a second. He can't shoot that. That's ridiculous. But these Infestors have made their way into the main now, completely uncontested, and suddenly, while Maker's thinking, oh, it's cool. It's totally cool. Don't worry. My mineral line is covered in infested Terrans, and I have no way to answer that.
So many infested Terrans. That is actually absurd right now. This is not a good start to this series right now for Maker. He is going to be able to catch these Roaches out of position, but I mean, Roaches at this point in the game are basically free.
That's easy.
I mean, look at the supply. We're at 14 minutes into a game. 181 supply versus a supply blocked Maker here, and this is just a complete smackdown right now from Vibe.
It actually is. Like, this is really, really one-sided. The build that Vibe used was absolutely what it needed to do. I'm not really... I think it was like, hey, is there a shiny penny in the bush there? No, Roaches, get out of that. You don't belong there. But we're now in a situation where we're about to have good upgrades here for Vibe. He's sitting on 1 Carapace. He's about to have 2. He is going to bring Hydralisks into it as well. His Infestors are still alive because there wasn't any detection there for Maker. And now a big Roach Ball comes in. I think, you know, Maker's got enough to hold that. He does. Like, with the SCVs being pulled off the line, he's still going to lose a lot of SCVs in doing so, but he definitely has enough to push this back. But what about the next wave? Because that's going to have Hydralisks in it, and Maker's not going to have enough. Maybe he doesn't have enough, actually. Good lord, maybe he doesn't. And, it's going to be so close. But yeah, he's going to be able to drive that away. But he took so many losses in the process.
Yeah,
44
it's
to 139.
Where if it's an equal battle, that actually means Maker's behind, because he can't reinforce this nearly as much. We mentioned the Hydra there, and there's going to be the GG. Was behind 100 supply, which he was also behind 100 supply at the beginning of that game. But when you're 100 supply behind, that is not a good situation.
Yeah, that was...
And you got to remember that a lot of that supply wasn't even Roaches anymore. It was transitioning into those Hydras, as you mentioned. So pretty one-sided there. I'm kind of curious as if he meant to lower the depots. I can't imagine that he did, because those Roaches just walked right in and
there's no reason.
So...
That's not a bait. I mean, why would you bait in twice as many Roaches as you have units? The only situation where you win that fight is if you have those depots up and you're able to keep your buildings repaired. Then you can hold it. You can. I mean, with that, he had 4 Marauders, he had 2 bunkers. I think, honestly, like, Maker's got some serious performance anxiety right now because he is not playing anywhere near as well as he usually plays on the ladder, and he plays against these players all the time, but Vibe is a seasoned tournament professional, and I think that's what's really showing here.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Maker just making mistakes there that he probably doesn't make in the majority of his games. We mentioned that we haven't seen a whole lot of him in tournament play, so definitely would not be surprised by that. And to be quite frank, though, I mean, that doesn't matter. He has to pull it together. He has to figure out a way to kind of clear his head because he has basically ran out of options right now.
Yeah, he has, very much so. He doesn't really have a lot that he can actually do in this situation now, but he has no choice. He's got to pull something out. Does he go for a more aggressive Hellbat drop? Does he cheese? Like, 1 game away from elimination, going 0-4, does he cheese? Well, we'll find out very shortly, folks, here on SHOUTcraft America. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
This is make or break right here for Maker. Will he go out 0-4 and leave only Root standing in Group A, or will he be able to claw this one back? Vibe looking dominant in that series so far. Akelon Wastes will be the next venue for this encounter.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think Maker so far showing that, I mean, he's the weakest player right now. Is it nerves? Is he actually just getting outclassed in every way? Well, it doesn't matter if you're not winning games. So this is going to be the last chance for him. It sounds a little bit grim, but that is exactly what it is, really. I mean, he's only got one more chance right now to prove just how good he actually is here. And unfortunately, I mean, I've cast Maker games in the past. He's fun to watch, and this isn't the Maker that I'm used to.
No, it isn't. But, yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Nerves actually do play a role. There's no real question about that. If anyone thinks otherwise, they just don't know what they're talking about. And as a direct result, I think we're now in a situation where things are rough for Maker. They really, really are. This is not the ladder anymore. This is a tournament, and you've got to play it like a tournament. So, can he do it? Uh-oh. You see what I see?
I do.
That's a really... I thought that was actually... Yeah, I mean, it could be, but that's a super early scout, actually. And it could still be a proxy play. We'll find out. I saw 2 SCVs going out there almost immediately. Anyway, let's introduce. So, in the blue trunks, playing Terran to the southeast, it is Chaos Latin Gamers Maker, who is already out on the map really early with that SCV. We'll see if it was just for a really early scout, or if it was for something else entirely. Versus his opponent in the red trunks. Yep, it is a proxy barracks. I expected it might be. In the red trunks, playing Zerg to the northwest. Currently at 1 game in this best-of-3 series. He will go on to face his teammate Minigun in the elimination match if he is not... Well, if he is able to take Maker down here. We'll find out. It is Root Vibe.
All right, well, a good call there, TB, predicting some sort of cheese. Now, the real question is it going to be the extra cheddary cheese, or is it going to be some mild cheese? Now, we do have the refinery on the way. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get out enough gas here to begin making a Reaper or not. We'll just have to wait and see, as he does have those SCVs inside right now. And a Proxy Reaper can be quite effective at annoying a Zerg, especially since they tend to go hatchery first, which means a delayed spawning pool. Does he decide to go for it? He has just enough gas right now, slightly missed
really,
time there.
It? Yeah,
yep, there it is.
I mean, it wouldn't make any sense to go Proxy Marauder against Zerg, because that's the weirdest thing ever. But yeah, it's a Proxy Reaper. It's not as extreme a cheese. I mean, it's not like a 2-Rax, right? But it does mean this Reaper will get there slightly quicker. The spawning pool only just went down, which means that, honestly, there is actually nothing to defend this at all. Nothing. So you're not going to see a queen. The spawning pool is going to take another 60 seconds to finish. 40 seconds to finish. This Reaper is about to be out. It could do damage.
The Overlord does spot it, so that confirms exactly what he thought here, which thankfully for him he did spot. There is another Proxy Reaper. This is where another Proxy Barracks. This is where it starts to get a little extra cheesy, as he is going to go ahead and try and go for the aggression. Keep in mind, though, that if any Zerglings make it to the main base of Maker, there's really nothing there to defend it. Drones will have to be pulled here. There's really no other way to do this. Remember, he is going to be way ahead in workers, 17-14, and he's not going to have any Zerglings out just yet. So I think that this is smart by Maker to try and throw off the groove of Vibe, because we saw what happens when Vibe gets rolling, and he's trying to stop that right now.
Yeah, the second barracks is the really funky thing about this, because I don't believe Vibe actually scouted it. No, he didn't. He doesn't know that that's there. So far, some damage has been done. Not a huge amount. We've seen a couple, we've seen like 1 worker killed, a couple of Lings come out, they're immediately going to die. Queen's on it. Here's the thing, though. The funky thing about this cheese is you might think, oh, well, he's fine once against Queen's out. No, he's not, because this is double Reaper coming in at a time. That's enough to overwhelm the Queen. So if Vibe doesn't really get a sniff of what this is, and doesn't produce the right units, doesn't get a spine down, then I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
And Queens, simply put, they just do not regenerate HP as quickly.
No,
it looks like Double Reaper over here will be able to spot these drones if they move just a little bit more to the left. He is attacking the hatchery there. I think he's just waiting for more reinforcements before he goes in. He needs to make sure to control correctly. He does. Now he is up to 4. Vibe has got to know, uh-oh, that's a surprising amount of Reapers right now.
That's a lot of Reapers. Yeah, he knows exactly what he's up against right now, but I don't think he's got what he needs to stop it. Even Queens, man, Maker's control actually is really, really good here. So he almost lost that, but he didn't. So there's a lot of Zerglings coming out. So it's up to Maker to make a mistake here. And I don't think he's going to. There's 2 more Reapers on the way. So Maker is like fully... I'd say he's pretty much all in at this stage, because he's certainly not building anything else behind it. He is still building workers because he can, but this is really nasty. There's about to be 6 Reapers. There will be 8 soon. Without a Spine Crawler, I don't see how you can stop this. If you wait long enough for speed, which is just about to complete, and then you get enough Lings, that'll work. But the problem is those Lings are dying before the speed comes in. Now they come in, so he's pulling everything he can. It's not enough.
Yeah, exactly. Speed's done, but he lost all the Zerglings too much. So Vibe right now, you can definitely tell he's probably getting a little bit frustrated here. Maybe transferring the drones to the natural, throw down a couple spines would be the best bet. But Maker actually, I believe, has a worker advantage now.
He does now, yeah.
He does in a big way, 20-14. And Vibe, I mean, he's just been losing these queens. They get caught out of position. And Vibe having a lot of missteps here, to be quite frank, because those queens, he shouldn't have lost those. He needed to keep those alive, keep them in the back if anything. And this is what happens when you try and play greedy and you just rely on the Zerglings and drones to deal with it. Maker does have almost 900 minerals here.
Oh,
guys,
surround! He gets it!
Oh, no!
That's a disaster. Wow, great catch there by Vibe, but at what cost? It's 8 drones to 22 SCVs. He did the best he could in that situation, but he is way far behind. Even if these barracks have to go all the way back, which they won't, they're going to keep making units, and then Maker's just going to build a bunch more stuff behind it. Maker is still far ahead, and can Vibe even afford to drone heavily right now? Maker's got to be careful not to keep losing these Reapers, though. Like, if he goes in one at a time, that's actually terrible. And if he loses the Reapers, as he just did there, great control there by Vibe, misstep by Maker, then, yes, his opponent will be allowed to drone back up again.
Yeah, I'm trying to think right now. I mean, I feel like the only thing Vibe can do here is just make pure drones and hope that Maker doesn't move out. I mean, that's going to be the riskiest, but also the highest benefit to him.
Yes, yeah.
He could also try and go for maybe a Baneling bust right now, but I mean, Maker, the only thing is that these production facilities are pretty late because he was getting near 800 to 900 minerals there. But, I mean, what does Vibe do in this situation? It's definitely tough. He's deciding to go a little bit more safe in the now by making some lings here to deny any more Reapers. But at some point, I feel like he can't win with 11 drones. So it's got to be tough for him.
Yeah, I mean, this may force you into a nasty all-in situation. Baneling Nest is now coming down, so it may just be forced to try a straight-up bust, which is probably not going to work. Like, there's not enough Zerglings on the map to make that work. Even if you do bust the front, then I mean, he's not going to even catch his opponent at a bad time because now all of these reactors are coming down and production is really ramping up for Maker with the other 2 barracks reaching home. It seems unlikely. If Vibe actually comes back from this position and successfully busts Maker and kills him, I will be incredibly impressed.
Yeah, I mean, really the only thing that he can hope for is that Maker stops making supply depots, which is, of course, not going to happen. 3 of them do go down right now. The Banelings might actually hit before the production gets fully underway. 4 or 5 Banelings is all he can afford, which is enough to break the entrance here. And I think that this supply block for Maker, if anything, is the worst time supply block ever. So we'll see. The command center here is going to spot it. He'll realize, oh, time to go back home.
Yeah,
time to raise these depots.
If he'd gone out there, that could have actually been disastrous. But no, he saw it. All right, so he's going to Baneling bust the front here. And, oh, it's not even enough to kill it. Now he manages to make his way through, but takes a couple of Hellion shots in the process. I don't see him winning this, honestly. Not with that many. There's the GG immediately. And that's 1-1. And Maker puts one on the board here. And you know what? He actually used... It's interesting that he used that build because this is the exact same build that Vibe lost to Polt in the match prior to the qualification match for getting into SHOUTcraft. That's... So he's weak to this cheese. You know, he hasn't figured out how to beat it yet. And as a direct result, Maker now has one on the board. So... we will see. Final map is coming in between these two. Will we see a root player knocked down, or will Vibe be able to come back? Maker's put one on the board now, but you can't just keep pulling cheeses like that. You can do one, throw it into a best of 3, throw your opponent off. That's a valid tactic. You do it again, chances are that the guy's going to be way better prepared for it this time around. So what else does Maker have up his sleeve?
Well, we're going to find out here in the next game. I mean, we still haven't seen Maker win with a solid standard play. I really think that that Puck is going to know, or excuse me, Vibe. I always switch those for some reason. But I think he's going to realize what went wrong there. He has to focus more on defense, cannot rely just on pure Zergling against something like that. If he can force it into a standard game, I think he's going to have the advantage moving forward just based on what we've seen. But hey, man, it's StarCraft, so any valid strategy that makes your opponent lose is just that, a valid strategy. So we'll see if Maker has anything else planned.
We will. We'll be back after this break, folks. Don't go anywhere. All right. It comes down to this. One of these guys is going home. He's already home. It's a figure of speech. The other guy will go on to play Root Minigun to attempt to qualify for the round of 8. The money goes up at that point, man. It really, really does. Can Maker bring out something else? Because, yeah, good cheese, well executed, good control. We need to see more than that, though. This is a best of 3 that generally only works once.
Yeah, that's the only way to put it at this point. He needs to just focus. He needs to feel good about that last win, and he needs to just play his game. The fact that he's so high ranked on ladder shows that he knows what he's doing, but I don't know, man. I still want to give a slight edge to Vibe right now, just based on what we've seen, but it's still anyone's game.
Yes, it is, and we are going into it right now, and it's going to be on Star Station. This will be where we find out who advances and who is going home. So, ladies and gentlemen, for potentially the final time this evening in the Red Trunks, playing Zerg to the northwest, it is Root Vibe versus his opponent to the southwest position in the Blue Trunks, playing Terran. It is, of course, KLG's Maker.
Now, really, what does Vibe do this time differently? Does he scout on the map a lot more? Does he decide to keep his overlords just maybe a little bit closer? Does he still go for hatchery first? Does he go for a spawning pool a little bit earlier? I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what Vibe decides to do based on the fact that that last rush hit him so early that he was completely unprepared. And really, if you're going hatchery first, there's no real way to prepare for something like that. It's more about how you react. So maybe he'll just end up changing how he reacts in that case. But definitely never feels good to lose to something like that. But I think Vibe knows that he has a good chance with his core mechanics. It's just dealing with that early game aggression that can be really tough for Zerg.
Very true. Big shout out, by the way, to the Gun Run, who helped us solve our streaming issues earlier, who discovered, in fact, that it was the Leviathan beneath the depths that was eating our bandwidth. It was not, in fact, it was no one's fault. That's the cool thing about this situation. It was actually nobody's fault. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't Twitch's fault. It wasn't Time Warner's fault. It was that damn Leviathan. So we don't get to blame anyone.
I feel like we should have sent in the hero gun run just maybe a year ago to kill off this Leviathan. He is very good at destroying the internet demons out there. So of course, a big thanks to him. He is basically saving esports single-handedly. So he's awesome.
All right, gas has been taken once again. That is pretty much standard for Maker, but this time around he's playing a little bit more straight up. He's going to be walling off here by the looks of it. And what does he go into from here? You know what I've actually seen a resurgence of lately, Husky?
No.
Banshees. Banshees. I've seen a lot of that. Some cloak play, some non-cloak play. It seems like, I guess Zerg are expecting more kind of defensive Widowmine or Hellbat play, so where the Banshee comes in, it gets a little bit surprising. Like, Terran right now have so many early options for harass, it's really awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing where I remember when they announced the new Hard the Swarm units, I was like, all right, they gave Terran all new mid-game units, which is kind of weird because there was already so many options for Terran, and it has nothing to do with balance. Like, I'm not going to talk about balance, but what it does mean is that, as you mentioned, they just added, like, all right, well, now there's Widowmine timings, there's Widowmine expansions, there's Widowmine drops, and also the Hellbat as well. It plays such an integral role in the middle parts of the game. So that's why it's really up to Terran in PvT and in a ZBT to try and do something in the mid game. You just cannot sit back. Because as much as you love to do this, TB, you can't just sit back and mass up carriers. It's not going to work versus Vibe.
I would love to massive carriers as Terran, man. I tell you, I will adopt that unit. You guys don't build carriers anymore? Give them to me. Give them to me, and I will build all the carriers. That is what's going to happen.
I'm at Valor, but whatever.
All right, so here is what we have. So we've got an expansion. I was just a Reaper expand here from Maker. He's going to go 2 Reapers, no higher than that. I like this. This is a much better play, in my opinion. It's not really going to do anything, but it is going to give map control for a while. It's kind of... Usually it forces speed out instead of seeing like one of those really nasty early timings, like say a big roach play or going straight up to lair and doing some weird funky tech stuff. So that kind of works. There's only a single gas out here for Vibe, so he's going to take enough. Is he actually going to take out of gas? He's not. That's the interesting thing. He's still mining gas. So what's he going to do with that? Is he going to turn that into a lair? Will we see a Baneling nest or a roach warren go down early on? We'll find out.
Baneling's really not used that much in the early game. Of course, there's still a very good unit in the mid game when there's a lot of Marines on the field, but it's so tough for Zerg to pull off any sort of timing with that. But maybe he'll like reverse metagame him and be like, well, no, actually I can make this work because you're not expecting it. But we do have 3 barracks now down and the Hellion production 2 at a time, which is completely standard here. This has been standard in Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm for a very long time. It's just nice for some map control, get a little scouting in. You can sometimes try and get a run by, but players have since kind of gone away from run bys because it was just a little bit too risky. Once Zerg players realize that, you know, a little bit of micro will help you against that.
Well, Mega's playing straight up standard right now. The gas for Vibe, I guess, is just going to be for +1 and then a lair, I would think. He decided against building double Evo chambers. He's going Carapace upgrade. I like this a lot. If you're going to play a lot of Link style stuff, or even if you're going to play Roaches in the early game against Terran, having that +1 Carapace is great. It's especially good against both Hellions and against Marines, because your Lings don't die anywhere near as fast. So that's really nice to see. Still hasn't gone lair yet. He has taken his 3rd base down to the bottom here, and he's now got that 100 gas. Let's see if he decides to go lair off of that. Eventually he's going to have to. He's going another upgrade. Interesting. We may see the Ling Baneling, possibly Muta-style, into Ultras in the late game here, coming from Vibe.
We did see an Overlord there actually get a huge scout off as well. Spotted everything except for that starport, which is just now going to be constructed there. So he knows the ratio of 3 barracks to 1 factory. So as long as he keeps tabs on where that army is, and the fact of the matter is this army is actually starting to look a little scary. A lot of Hellions mixed in, which is a couple of Reapers. That it is a bad day to be Zerglings. But we'll see if he has enough here to save this expansion. 24 Zerglings on the way. But those upgrades nowhere near completed, so I worry that a lot of micro on this army could do some damage, but he actually decides to retreat for now.
I think if he overextends here, then he gets surrounded and killed, maybe, because I think there are just enough Lings to get a good surround on creep, and the creep spread's not too bad at the front, so I think you also got to bear in mind that Maker made some huge mistakes in Game 1 when it came to his defense, so I think he might be feeling just a little bit gun-shy, which is an unfortunate position to be in. Let's see if Maker can actually kill these Lings. Yes, he can. He's in a good position. There's no way he can be surrounded there, so that's good. Baneling Nest is coming down, though, so we will see. I mean, let's see if we see 2 more gas. He's currently on 3. If we see a 4th gas, then this is clearly Mutaling Baneling being played.
3rd base is now done. Zerglings there still trying to get a good surround on those units, being very active with those. He does have to... might actually kill off a Reaper right here. And, okay, that was kind of awkward. Nope, the Reaper gets a second chance at life. But right now, does Maker decide to go for a 3rd base, or is he just going to be kind of a very aggressive stance here? He has Widow Mines on the way, Combat Shields, and Marines. So, I mean, all signs are pointing to aggression. Those Queens are out of position, too. Gotta lose those almost immediately. Yeah, 1 down. 2nd one's going down as well. This is a great strike in the 3rd base right here by Maker. This is looking really, really good. He's got Medivacs as well. Oh, he finds the Banelings just before they morph in. The Lings come in. Will he be able to get away? And it connects to the... he lost a lot there, but he didn't lose everything. And now he's moving into the base. And that was like pretty much everything Vibe had to defend against this. He's now in a good spot to try and defend it to as much damage as possible. He's moving into the base right now. Another Queen's going to die here. This is actually looking really, really bad for Vibe. The timing of this from Maker, absolutely astounding.
Really nice. He's overstimming, I think, though. I think he's going to lose these now. He wants to take out another Queen, but I feel he did overstim. He didn't take another Queen down there, and I think he got a bit too impetuous. It was a good attack. Don't get me wrong. It was a good attack. But now I think Vibe's in a situation where he's going to be thinking to himself, okay, I just had to spend a lot of gas getting Banelings up, and I just started my upgrades as well. Do I want to get a Spire, or do I want to play Ling Baneling until I go higher than that? And that's like, just playing Ling Baneling without the ability to strike at your opponent's production with Mutalisks or pick off drops is incredibly difficult.